Hello happy people, Hamza here and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to create a hotel booking homepage that will look something like this, with a header over here, with a background image, and of course our header is going to be transparent. We'll add a search widget over here, which is a search availability widget that someone can simply enter in over here the dates that they want to check in to that specific hotel, enter in the number of adults and the number of children over here, and they can search for a room. And down here we'll list our accommodations, and for these accommodations we'll actually add some buttons, one for viewing the details of the room or directly booking the room. And down here we'll add some extra services, and these are services that can be booked along with the room. Down here we'll add our website footer. So how do we do exactly this? The first thing you have to do is of course go back to your dashboard, and under dashboard we are going to go down here to the plugin section so that I simply show you exactly which plugins we are going to be using. In this case I'm using Elementor and Elementor Pro, and also you need to get the hotel booking engine plugin and the hotel booking and Elementor integration. Now this integration brings you Elementor widgets from the hotel booking plugin. Once that is done, the other thing you should have are accommodations. At the moment I already created my accommodations, and in this case I have the twin room, the deluxe room and the standard rooms. And if you don't know how to create accommodations, I'm going to leave a link right down in the description box below so that you can easily go create your accommodations. These are the accommodations that will be listed right here at our home page. So we are going to come over here to pages, and we're going to add a new page. The new page we're going to add is going to be our home page. So I'm going to basically name this home page, and I'm going to say publish, and then I publish. Now that means that I published this page. Next, what I'm going to do is to open this page with Elementor. So once my page is opened up with Elementor, what I'm going to do at the moment is simply now to add my sections. But before I go into the sections area, let me first show you the importance of the MotoPress and Elementor integration. Now that integration brings for you these widgets right here in Elementor. Without that plugin installed, which is actually free, you won't be able to get these widgets right within the Elementor editor. Once that is said, what we are going to do at the moment is simply now to create our sections. We are going to have 3 sections for our website. So the first section is going to be the header section, and then we are going to create another section which is going to actually carry our widget, and then we'll also have another section and another section. So let me just duplicate this section and also duplicate this section. So let me just name this first section as a header. Let me grab over my navigator. So I'm going to name this as our header section, and then I'm going to name this to be our search availability. Then this is going to be our accommodations, and then we are going to have the other section for the services, and then we have the very last section, which is the footer. Okay, so in the header section, remember we're going to have the logo and the navigation over here. And there are 2 ways to actually create a header. You can create a header on the individual page, or you can simply just go and create your header for the entire site in Elementor. And you can do that simply over here when I come back to the dashboard and come to templates under Elementor. There's something called theme builder. So right here you have the opportunity to create a header, and you can make this header to appear on your entire site. In this case, we are simply creating a custom header that's going to appear on our home page only without appearing anywhere else. Now what we simply need to do is to have our site logo or the site title here and the navigation. At the moment we have 2 columns over here, so what we're going to do here, we're going to add some columns. So we're going to add a new column, and in the first column we're going to add the site logo. So we're going to say site logo or site title. In this case we need the site title, and boom, there it appears. And next, this side we're going to add the navigation. So it's going to be the navigation widget, which is this over here. I drag it to my other column, and now there we have the 2 options. Now when you look over here, you realize that this is where the navigation stops, and we have the site logo over this side, which looks now fine. What we need to do at the moment is we are going to add our background image on this section, which is in the header. So I'm simply going to select that section, come to style, and I'm going to add a background, and this background is going to be an image. So I'm simply going to select from the images I have over here. So I select my background image. I'm going to come over here to the header. I'm going to come to advanced, and I'm going to add some padding, and this padding is going to be at the bottom. So in this case, I'm going to select EM, and I'm going to unlink all the other options, and I'm going to add some padding, which is like 5, or I can even make it to be 10. But in this case, I want to make it a little bit more. I want to make it something like 20, and then I'm going to come back to the style option, and I'm going to come to the attachment option of the image in the background, and I'm going to make it like top center or top left, or you can even make our image to be custom, something like this. And then I can simply just move my image and position it the way I want, something of that sort. And on the size of the image, I'm going to simply leave it to be on auto. And this looks so far so good. Let me look on the tablet how it's going to look like, and also look on the mobile how it's going to look like. And I can still position it based on a device. For example, on a mobile, let me go back to the custom settings, and I position our image. Something like that. You can position it to any way you want. Okay, so now I can go back to our desktop version, and now you see that we have our logo over here and the accommodation. Now let me add some padding like 2 at the top, and then I'm going to come here to our site title. I'm going to select it, come to the style. I'm going to give it a text color of white, something of that sort. I'm going to come back still, and then I select the typography. I give it the typeface that we want to use, which is Montezerrat, which is over here. I can add some font weight, which is like 700, and that's it. I'm going to use the same style over to our menu over here. I'm going to select our navigation, come to the style. I'm going to come over here to the text color. I'm going to give it white. I'm going to come on the hover option. When you look over here, when someone hovers over this, it's kind of sinking down. Okay, and it doesn't change the color. On the hover option, I'm going to first remove the pointer so that you don't have anything like pointing. And on active, I'm going to make it black. So right here, it won't have any pointer. And on the text color on the active page, it's going to be black. And this is what I mean over here. So I'm now going to come back to our typography, and I'm going to change the typography to our font face that we want, which is just that. So I'll use the EM measurement. I'm going to leave the letter spacing on default. Let me look at how this looks like on a tablet. It's basically a hamburger icon. So I can also make some changes to this icon over here so that it's very visible. So I'll simply just scroll down here on the toggle button, and I can make changes over here on the color. So I'm going to make it to be black inside, and the background color, I'm going to make it completely white, something like that. And on hover, I'm going to simply just leave it on default without any border radius and without any border width, something like that. Okay, so that when someone clicks over there, that's how it looks like. And then I'm going to align it at the extreme left. So I simply select it, come over here, and then I'm going to come down here on the toggle align, and it will be on the extreme left. Okay, now when I move to the mobile version, as you see on the mobile, we have now 2 columns. One is actually going right down here. So what I'm going to do is select the first column. I'm going to come over here to the column width. I'm going to give it a 50. And to the second column, select it, and I'll also give it a 50. Now that moves back all the columns to be in the same alignment at the top. So when I go back to the desktop version, we can now preview our website on a full page. And boom, that's how it looks like. So far so good. It looks like everything right up here is okay. I can just make that this image is actually full. So by coming back over here on the image option, I'm going to basically leave the position to be on default, and I'm going to come right here on the image size. I'm going to set it to be covered. So what I have to do now is simply now come and preview. Now let's look at our preview page. Now it looks way better. The logo is now standing out and the navigation is standing out. Now when we come over here to our previous home page, realize that we're on a good track. So what we have to do at the moment is simply come back over here we're going to add some more height to reveal some parts of our image. So I'm going to come back over here and I change my image to center left, something like this. I update so that we can reveal some parts of our restaurant. Now this looks nice and neat. Just coming over to here. Next we are going to do is now to add our search availability widget over here. So I'm simply going to come back here to our home page and I'm going to come right to this section. I'm going to select the section. First of all, I'm going to give it a background color, and this background color is white. Okay, and then I'm going to come over right here and then I'm going to search for that widget, or I can simply just come over here. I grab our search availability widget, and the search availability widget by default from the hotel booking engine is vertical, but we need to convert it to be horizontal. So I'm going to select this widget and I'm going to simply just come over here to advanced and come right down here to CSS. So I'll simply just add over here my CSS code to convert the search widget to be horizontal. At the same time, I'm going to leave the same exact CSS code in the description box below, so don't worry. So now by previewing what is on our home page, boom, you see that we have now a search availability widget showing up over here. But we want everything starting down here to be within 160 of the content box of the width. So what I'm going to simply do is come back to our home page. I'm going to select this section and I'm going to come to the layout option. I'm going to leave it to be boxed. I'm going to come down here and add 960. So 960 will be the width of our content. So I'll simply now update. Once I update, then I can preview over right here, and you see, boom, we have our search availability widget added over right there. Now right here, when you click over here, you see that our calendar appears. We can select the number of adults, you can select the number of kids, and then you can search. Now the number of adults that can book in a room over here are up to 30, and the number of children that can book in a room are up to 10. So when you come back to your dashboard and come to the accommodations settings, just down here you have the option to set the maximum number of adults that can book into your hotel and the maximum number of children that can be booked in your hotel. In this case, I set the adults to be 30 and for the children to be 10, and the age of the children should be between 6 to 12 years. Now this appears on the field of the children right here on the search availability widget, as it is right here. Okay, next what we need to do is simply we're going to add some kind of transparency on this widget over here. So I'm simply going to come over here to our home page. I'm going to first of all add some padding. So by coming over here, by selecting the section, come to advanced, I'm going to unlink all this section, add some EM. On the top I'm going to add a 2, and at the bottom I'm going to add a 2 for the EM. And then I'm going to come to the style and I'm going to select the gradient, and the top color and the bottom color I'm going to make them white. Okay, and now for the upper color I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit, something like that. Okay, and I'm going to come over here to this section. I'll select the section, come to advanced, and I'm going to move this section a little bit up. I'm going to unlink the margins and I'm going to come over here to the top option. I'll add a 10 and a negative. Now that means I'm moving this section a little bit into the upper section. So I'm going to basically move it further, and then I'm going to come back here to the style, and then I'm going to come right here to the location, and then I'm going to come back here to the color, and I'll just increase a little bit on the opacity once again, and we just make it just like there at that moment where the other section kindly fades into our second section, just like that, a little bit. Okay, now I simply update. Now we are going to look at our home page, and boom, this is what we have: the header, the background section, and now our search widget, just like we have it over here on our home page. Now the other thing now we're going to do is to create the other section for the accommodations, which is down below here. So what you simply have to do is come back to our home page. On our other section, which is for the accommodations, we're going to simply add accommodations, but first we're going to set the content width, which is 960, and also the other section should be 960, but we will leave the footer to be on the full width, which is the footer section. So back to our accommodations, I'm going to now to come back here to the widgets area, and I'm going to look up for the single accommodations. So I'll simply just come over here, drag over the single accommodation widget so that it appears over here. Now we need to get the ID of the accommodation we want to show. So I'm going to come back here to our dashboard. I'm going to come to accommodations, and under accommodations, realize that we have accommodations listed over here, but when you hover over, you get the accommodation ID, and over here and over here. So we have 92, 106, 115. So I'll come over here to our editor, I'll add 92, and then I'm going to duplicate this column, and in the other column I'll add 106, and I'll also duplicate this column, and now in the third column I'm simply going to add 115. Okay, so now we have our accommodations added. What we're going to do now is simply add a background color. So I'm going to come to style, background, then I'll add a white. I'm adding a background color because we had set up with our theme. At the moment I'm using the Astra theme. I've set it up that our official background color for everything on our website is black. That's why you see that by default it's showing black in the background. So to simply just use a custom color, I simply set up my color for every section that I add. Okay, so now I have my single accommodations over here. I can rearrange them in any way that I want, just like this. But one thing I have to do now is simply choose how I want them to appear. For example, I'm going to come over here, select this accommodation. When you look over here on our page, it only shows the featured image, it shows the title of the room, the brief description of that room, the starting price, and the 2 buttons. Now when we come over here to our home page, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to leave the title to be displayed. I'll leave the featured image, I'll remove the gallery, I'll leave the exact section to be displayed, I'll disable the details section, and I'll leave the price section to be displayed, and I'll leave the view button displayed. And that means we'll have the 2 buttons show up over right here. The same I do for the other section. I leave the title, I leave the featured image, I disable the gallery, I leave the exact section displayed, I remove the details section, I leave the price, I enable the view button and the book button. The same for also the other room. Okay, cool. Now we have our accommodations added. What else do we need to add? Nothing. Okay, now let's preview our home page by updating. Okay, now we have our accommodations listed. This looks pretty nice. The other thing we can do is we can add some flair, like some animation. So I'm going to select this column. I'll come to advanced option. I'll add some motion effect, and I'm going to add some entrance animation, and I'm going to say let it fade in. The same I'll do on the other one, advanced motion effect. I'll give it like fade into. The same for the other, advanced as a motion effect, fade into. Okay, so when I update, I go to our home page, which we are creating. Now look at those columns. Okay, it's a little bit fast. Maybe I can add some delay. So by coming over here, I'll say delay. Okay, I'll say maybe like 5, 100, 100, and I'll add 100 for this one too. I update. Okay, now it's coming a little bit from what I see. Okay, that's it. Now the other one that we're going to add, of course, is our other section. By dragging over here our navigator, we are done with the accommodations. Now we're going to add extra services. Now for the extra services, you have many ways to do that. You can simply just come over here and then drag your services widget, which is over here, add it over here to your section. I can duplicate and simply just have 2 columns. Of course, let me first add a background color, style, background, it's going to be a white background. I'm simply going to display a service based on its ID at the moment. So I'm going to just come over here to our accommodations, come down here to the services. Now these services, you must have created them already. If you don't know how to create these services, now you kindly check out the tutorial right down in the description box below on how to create services or extra services for your hotel booking website. Now when I come over here on my already created services, I hover over this service, I look right down here on the bottom left corner. You see there is the URL of my website and something called post equals to 90. Now that 90 is the ID of that extra service. The other one is 88. The other one is 86. So I'll add 86 and 88. Back to our home page. So I'll simply just come over here, select the ID. I'll say 88. And I'll add another. I'll select this other widget and add 86 as the ID. And down here below, you can simply just customize further your service widget. Okay, now that is done. Let's preview how our page now looks like. Okay, we have our extra services added over here. Next, what we are going to do is now to add our footer. For our very last section, which is the footer, I'm going to add a template. So I'm going to come over here to the folder and I'm going to come to my templates. And I've already created a footer template, which is over right here, which is Elementor footer. You can simply create your templates and save them in Elementor. If you don't know how to create templates and save them in Elementor, I'm going to also leave a link right down in the description box below so that you can simply create your templates, save them, and always you can reuse them. So I have my footer template. I'm simply going to insert this template. This template shows up on my Elementor website. Okay, now you see that I have not used the other section we had created earlier on for the footer, which is just this over here. This is because I just decided to import a template instead of recreating my footer. So I'm simply going to come over here to the other section, which I have now imported as a footer, and I'll name it to be footer. And I'll simply delete the other section, which is empty. So I'll simply just select that section and say delete. And now that's how I have my footer at the moment. I'll simply update. I'll preview my home page. Okay, this looks fine, and I have my footer over here. Okay, now it looks like we are done with our home page, but one more thing we have to check is the responsive settings. So I'll simply just come back here to our home page, and then I'm going to look up how does my home page look like on the tablet. So by scrolling over here, I can at the same time add some padding to my other columns, just like it is over here in the footer. Okay, now let me just look at what was given to the footer. The padding, it's 6262. So let me just do the same. Select this section for the services. Come to the advanced option. Padding, I'll give it an EM of 6, 2, 6, and 2. How does this look like? Okay, it looks like it's too much. First of all, at the top, let me just give it 2 and 2 all over. Okay, that looks fine. The same for the other section. Come to the advanced, select EM. I'll simply just add a 2 for all sides, top, bottom, right, and left. And now for this other section, which is a search availability widget, I'm simply going to add padding on only in the sides. So I'll just come on advanced section and link, select EM, and I'm simply going to add a 2 and a 2 on the left, just like that. Okay, now how does it look on the mobile? The header looks a little bit funny because of the image, so I can simply just come back here to the section, and for our image I can just make it to be center left, just like that, and I'm done. That now looks fine. The padding looks okay. Standard room or accommodations, they all look fine. Services, they all look fine, and that's all. Okay, down here it looks like there is too much padding between the first section and the other section. I'm simply going to select the last section over here the footer down here, it looks like it has too much of the padding, so I'm going to select this column, come to advanced section, and I'm going to reduce on the padding. At the bottom, I'm going to make it simply 2, so that there is all basically 0. Okay, that's all. So when I go back to my desktop option or the desktop version, everything looks now nice and neat. I can simply update. Once I update, I can now look at my home page. Wow, I'm loving this. Looks fine. And that's it. Okay, now we can add even some section headings, for example, like our accommodations, our services. So I can just come back here to our home page. I can come down here, copy this widget over here, which is the title. I can come right at the top here. I can duplicate this section, and I'm going to delete whatever is in that section. Okay, then what I'm going to do is simply come over here, grab an inner section, which is this, add it over there, and then I'm going to come back over here and I'll paste my title or title widget. I'll add it just at the top here. Okay, then I'll just say select, and I say our extra services. Okay, now I can simply just drag whatever is in here into here. So let me just copy this, I paste it over here, then I'll just copy the other service and I'll simply just paste it into this. Cool. Okay, now I can delete this other section. Okay, we can add now some padding to this section. So by selecting that whole section, I can come over here, select EM. I'll put it to be top to be 6, our EM. I'll unlink, and then the sides should be 2 and left to be 2. Okay, something of that sort. Or if this is too much, you can further reduce it to what you want. But I think a 2 works best for all, top, bottom, and all the sides. So when I update this section, come back to our home page, see our extra services shows up over here. Looks not spaced. I can simply add some spacing, something of that sort. You can even decide to center this whole title by simply selecting the alignment and center the title. The same I can do for even the accommodation section. That goes back to what you want. Okay, so I can simply update this, and there I go. Now when I look at the page itself without looking at the preview, this is how it looks like. Okay, now when I compare with our page before, which is this over here, and now what we just created, nothing really varies that much. Okay, now how do you convert this page that you've created to be your home page for the website? You simply just come over here to your dashboard and come right here to reading settings. Under the reading settings, you can set your home page. Instead of it being the home, you can set it to be the home page, because now we have created a page called the home page, and that will be our home page for this website. Then you simply just have to say save changes. Now when I say save changes, after saving changes, now I can just copy my site URL and then come over here, open up, and boom, our home page shows up, which is just what we just created. Now if you don't want to create your header separately and the footer separately, you can just set them as global headers and footers, and then you are good to go. You simply just have to create your inner sections for your home page. Thank you so much for watching. In case you have any questions or comments, please let me know down in the comment box below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. And if you want to check out the complete hotel booking tutorial, please check out the link in the description box below. And in case you want to look into specific settings on how you can set up prices for the rooms, how you can book, how you can integrate a couple of payment methods on your hotel booking website, please also check out the links in the description box below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Have a good time. Goodbye.